Every human being has something to offer and some value to add, no matter what stage you're at in your life, where you're at, how much money you make, it really doesn't matter.
All right, so we were talking earlier, Jason, about kind of the things that Andy's been challenging you to. He's been making you feel uncomfortable, whether that's pulling you on stage to take your shirt off. What have you been learning from the Elliott Group in terms of challenging your normal ways of believing? Like, what mindsets or what beliefs have you had to change to adapt to the culture that Andy has pulled you inside of?
I think, just really, again, staying true to yourself, not caring what anyone else is thinking, kind of being delusional in that aspect, and really learning that we've got to go a lot harder than what we've been doing to get to the results that we want. So that's really what stuck out in the last couple of weeks, honestly.
What has been some of those challenges, or what have been some of those things that you've had to do and go harder on? Like, what are some actual examples?
Yeah, well, I think sitting here doing this podcast, with you and just getting on camera every week, and really, that's been a challenge for me since day one. So, we're definitely getting better, but it's definitely one of those things like not caring what's on the other side, or who's going to think what, or what comments are going to be, said on Instagram. So really just getting comfortable with that.
So you guys are filming content. Clearly a lot of people aren't doing it. They want to. Why do you see the value in filming the content? Why is it so important for you to get uncomfortable and to be in front of this camera right now and actually push out content?
Well, if you're not online, you're not putting out content, then how are you going to help others, right? So for us, we want to be able to pour into, other people that are having different challenges, or maybe they can, learn something through our experience. So by putting that content out there, you're allowing other people to see the life that you're living in hopes that it might help them, through their journey.
Alli, what are some of the things that you've been seeing change in Jason as he's kind of been stepping out of his comfort zone? Is it affecting anything between you two?
No, if anything, it's made our relationship better. We've gone through trials and tribulations 100%. Coming into our own, figuring out the, path that we're taking and the changes and all of the new adventures that we've been taking. It was a rocky start just because it was so uncomfortable. But now that we're getting more comfortable and we're establishing everything and kind of getting a clearer direction, we're more comfortable in front of the camera. Like, we used to we would get irritated with each other when we'd have to take a picture in public because we were both so uncomfortable that we'd be like, why didn't you smile the right way? Or like, we just felt, you feel stupid when you first start, and then you start to get more comfortable and he gets more confident with what he's doing, and I'm getting more confident with what I'm doing. And so when you go out and you take pictures, or you're like, hey, I want to take a quick video of whatever it is out there, like, having more confidence is making us both more comfortable, and so it's getting easier the longer that we're doing it.
What would you guys say has been one of the most beneficial parts of actually filming content, whether that's somebody commenting on your post or saying something that has helped them? Like, what has been some of those actual perks to getting uncomfortable and getting on camera that you've seen tangibly happen?
I think for me, seeing some of the comments, feedback that I'm receiving on social, that, hey, whatever that they heard has really helped them in the time of life that they really needed that, or it could be a book that I've put out that, shared that I'm reading, and, advise, someone to go get that book, and then I've got messages back of how that book has really helped change their life. So just really has been a lot of positive feedback with what we've shared so far. So I know the more that we do this and the better that we get, the more that's going to happen. So that's probably the most satisfying piece, is to know that what you've said has really helped someone on the other side that you don't know. Mm-hmm. Right? To me, that's a great feeling.
What has Andy been preaching you guys about content? Is he like, hey, push out more? What has Andy been kind of telling you guys about content and why he's having you do what you're doing right now?
Yeah, well, he wants us to go crazy on content, right? So, 5 different pieces of content on all platforms every single day, 7 days a week. Just getting the information out there, to the people. And again, the more we do it, the more reps, the better we're going to get. So we understand that, and we understand that you've got to draw that attention to you. So that's what we're trying to do now. And that's what he's saying a lot, is like, you've just got to be consistent at putting the content out. A lot of people start and then they stop, but it's like, can you be consistent 7 days a week and getting your content out? So that's probably one of the biggest ones for me.
Even when you only have like 4 likes and 3,
Yeah.
views, and you just got to keep going. And then, eventually you start gaining some traction, and then the rest will follow.
What do you guys say to people who think they're awkward on camera and they have nothing to say? Do you think there's something for everybody? Do they think everybody can be on camera, or do you think it's just designed for a certain select people?
No, I think every human being has something to offer and some value to add, no matter what stage you're at in your life, where you're at, how much money you make. It really doesn't matter. You can learn something from everyone. So I would encourage everyone to get online and just speak what it is that you want to put out there from your heart and be authentic. And I think someone on the other side is going to gain from that.
What were some of the learning lessons you learned between the old content you had and the content you're rolling out now? Whether that's just like, I need more of my voice, I need to not care about being a perfectionist. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think not caring about being a perfectionist, because you can, do a video and you look at it, 10 different times, and you're like, I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way I sound, and now we've just come to realize, like, it doesn't have to be, perfect, just doing something, with imperfection is better than not doing perfection at all.
Well, nobody can relate to perfect.
Right, and nobody can relate to that. So, it's just getting comfortable and just understanding that you're going to have things that go out that, that may not sound right to some people, but there's always someone on the other side that will, accept that. So I think it's just continuing to do it and not caring what anyone thinks, honestly. Like, if we like it, then it goes out, and that's all that matters. I'm really not concerned with negative comments, and we've had some of that through some of the posts we've done too. So, but I just feel sorry for those people, honestly.
What do you say to the people who are getting haters on their posts, who are saying things that might seem like truth? Are you kind of just like, hey, people are projecting? What are your thoughts towards someone who's like, I don't want to put content out anymore, I'm being discouraged by all the haters? What do you say to those people?
Yeah, I would say,
That means you're doing something right.
Try not to pay attention to that, but understanding, like, if they're actually someone that you don't know is hating on something that you said, those people really have some serious problems and they need help. But it just shows that there's something that you did say that they liked. That's why they made a comment on it, right? So otherwise, why would they waste their time?
Yeah, sure.
So I just wouldn't worry about what anybody, honestly, when I get it, I like it. Like, the harsher it is, like, I just laugh at it, because it's like, I'm confident in myself. I personally don't let any of that bother me, and you just keep moving forward. And again, it's just, you're doing something right if someone's taking their time to make a comment on someone they don't know. Like, you're doing something right.
Well, I feel like also there's so many different people that view your things, that know you, that don't know you, and every single person has an opinion. And with this space comes the negativity and the people that comment on your things in a negative way. And it's, you just kind of have to disregard whatever they're saying and push through it, because ultimately, like he said, like, those people that take the time to stop by a positive post to leave a negative comment, there's something going on with them that, that triggered them to make them feel like they needed to put in negativity into a positive space. I don't understand why people do it. Everybody's got their own reasons, but you have to take the good with the bad when you're in this space, and it's just something that kind of goes along with the territory. You just have to learn how to navigate around it.
What do you guys say to people that are very controlled by other people's opinions? What would you say to those people who let their actions be determined by the people they're listening to, whether they're telling them to not follow their dreams? Like, did you guys have to kind of break through what your family was telling you, what your friends were telling you, to get to where you two are at right now? You guys have had a lot of success, and you guys have had to change your ways of thinking. So what would you say to people who are being held back by limited beliefs and people that are dragging them down? What have you guys had to overcome personally?
Well, for us personally, when we made the decision to move across the country, I didn't really tell anybody what I was doing. So my circle is very small, and who I'm going to let in close. So I just don't hang around people that have negative things to say, or they're not supporting what we're doing. Like, I'm just not going to have time for it. And I would recommend that for anybody, like you have, whether it's family or whoever, how close of a friend that you've had. You go through those stages in life to where, they may have been your friend at one point, but sometimes you have to leave the group that you're around to get the life that you want, and you got to make different decisions, and that's not always going to be good for everyone, but you got to do what's in your heart and what's best for you and your family, and that's what I try to do. And I just put blinders on and just do that. Like if I know it's what we need to do, I don't really care what anybody else thinks I need to do. Honestly, I don't. And I know a lot of people get caught up in that, but I would say you just got to focus on what it is that you want. If you're focusing on what everybody else's want, you're going to live a miserable life.
You're going to live somebody else's life.
Yeah, you're living someone else's life. So, decide what you want and just go all in and be committed.
For people who are confused on which voices they should be listening to, what is a good sign that they should look for when someone's giving them advice? Whether that's just, hey, they're living the life that you want, what kind of advice would you give to those people for distinguishing between bad advice and good advice?
That's a great question. Well, what comes to mind, and I've said it before, is you've got to first understand what it is that you want, right? So the number one thing, you got to get clarity around what it is that you want, right? And then once you understand that, then it's finding someone that's living that life, and has the values that you represent, and connecting with those people, and I think that's going to get you to where you want to be, the fastest. And those types of people that have the right, if your values align, they're going to tell you straight, they're going to be direct, but it's only to make you better. They're not just going to tell you what you want to hear, and that's what a lot of people do. A lot of, so-called friends, they tell you what you want to hear, but that doesn't really help you, grow as an individual. So you need to be surrounded by people that will lay it out for you and be direct and tell you straight up, and not, really care at that time if it hurts your feelings, but it's all in the purpose of making you better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who was the first person who told you what you needed to hear? What's the last moment you can remember where somebody told you what you needed to hear, not what you wanted to hear? And what was that like? Was that maybe with Andy? Maybe Alli told you something? Maybe it was a good friend who told you, hey, wake up, Jason. You need to do this, not that. Is there an instance where you can remember back to where somebody told you something tough to hear and it changed your life?
Yeah, when I started my fitness journey about 20 years ago, someone told me I was getting like a little fat under my chin, and that's honestly what started my whole fitness journey. That's when I became obsessed with nutrition and training, and really has translated into the life we have today. So I would say that was a definitive time, to where that comment was made to me, and I went home, looked in the mirror, and I'm like, you're right. What are you going to do about it? And that's when this whole journey of fitness and self-development started really coming into play, because I knew I was not being the best version of myself. And so that person is a good friend of mine to this day. And so that's when you know you have a good friend, when they just tell you something directly, when they know it's going to probably bother you, but it's only to, get you to the next level. Yeah.
Do you think you can find your purpose? Last question. Do you guys think you can find your purpose in fitness? Like you say that you've shaken a lot of hands, you've met some people, like shoot, you two met through fitness.
Right.
What would you say to people on how you can find your purpose through fitness and some things that have happened to you two in that way? Well,
I can, only talk through my experiences, but, being physically fit, staying in shape, taking care of yourself, has opened so many doors for me. It got me, my marriage with Alli. So, but it draws attention, and the right attention, because people know instantly, without you saying anything, that you're a disciplined person that's consistent, which is very hard to find those two in individuals. So, when you're talking with someone, about business, and they see that you're physically fit, and you're disciplined like that, then they trust you to take care of their projects or their customers, and it's, it's a great conversation starter as well. When people see someone walk in the room and they instantly know that you take care of yourself, like it's another level of respect that you have for that person, for sure.
Yeah.
So I would say it's been a huge part of my journey. And you may not know, like can't point back and say, well, that was because of this. But like when I step back and look over the last 25, 30 years, like being physically fit, even as a kid, it's made a huge impact on my life. I'm almost in every area. And it's helped me in business by being able to be disciplined and being consistent with your food and your training day in and day out, to where it becomes part of your lifestyle. It's not like a thing, I don't think about it. It's just, it's what I do. It's who I am. It's the standards that I have, or the standards that we have. And that's never going to change. And now we're teaching our kids that. So yes, to me, fitness is everything. Like without that, I don't know how I would be successful in business. I don't know how I would be a great leader. I mean, think about it. Who wants to follow someone that's sloppy? I don't.
Last question, sorry.
That's okay.
Do you feel like your fitness journey and how you guys are disciplined in your fitness has something to do with how Andy's wanted to start training with you guys 5 days a week? Why don't you talk a little bit about that for a second?
Yes, there's no doubt. Like the connection that I have, with Andy, I feel is because he's obsessed with fitness. I'm obsessed with fitness, and you see that in two people. So there's a connection, there when you meet someone like that. Like it's hard to explain, but yes, I think that's why we have the connection we have. Is it's not because we have several businesses, right? I mean, there's a lot of people with several businesses, but the fact that he sees the discipline and the consistency, and he understands what that takes and how difficult that is. So I absolutely think that's why we are in the position, we are in the room because of we're in the room because of fitness with them, no doubt, 100%.
I was just going to say, I was actually talking to you about this. I'm trying to figure out how I want to word it. Just basically, fitness was our in with the Elliots. That's where we first related. I mean, the very first time we ever met Andy, he sat there and ate his beef and rice and drank his, gallon stuff of water. So, fast forward even to today, I was telling you that, they want to work out with us or have us around in that space because, you look at Jason, you can see that he's very serious, he's very dedicated, he trains hard consistently, and then myself the same. And so when you put very competitive people together or, when you surround yourself with like-minded or, people in that same space, that it makes you want to do more. It makes you want to be better. It makes you want to eat cleaner. It makes you want to lift a little more, go a little further. So I think, them surrounding themselves with people that are passionate about fitness drives them to be better just as it does for us. Mm-hmm.